What is up guys, radostinkuzmanovfit here, and in today's video I want to talk about the biggest training myths a lot of people believe in. I made such video in Bulgarian a few months ago and it opened the eyes of a lot of people, so I believe that such video must be made in English as well, and if you enjoy this part, I will do a second one in English. So here we go, let's bust those myths. The first training myth I want to talk about is the belief that higher reps with less weight are for losing fat, aka cutting, and lower reps with more weight are for building strength and muscle size. This myth, I believe, comes from the good old times of the bodybuilding era when Arnold was doing 100 reps on each set for each muscle group before competition in order to get deeper cuts in those muscle parts, and unfortunately it hasn't been sufficiently debunked yet because we can still hear people around the gyms giving advice to others that they should start doing higher reps with less weight if they want to get shredded. I remember that at my first gym that I used to go, everybody was doing higher reps when the summer was on its way, and the most common reason for them to do that was that the big pros of the bodybuilding are doing the same. So basically they were copying them because they thought that what those huge vascular guys are doing is the best thing they can also do in order to get results. If it's good for them, it must be also good for you, right? Well, not really. What we often miss when trying to copy these huge monsters is that they take shitload of steroids in order to look like this. Most of the people who are trying to get in shape are natural, so here we have to make the difference quite well because steroids can change the game completely, and I will never advise someone who is natural to copy someone's training and nutrition principles if this person is on gear, because this may lead him or her to the wrong direction. You should know pretty well that if you want to lose fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit, you have to eat less than you burn, which means that your body will receive less energy from external resources, while it will burn more energy, which often leads to less power in the gym. The most common benefits of the steroids are increased energy, increasing muscle size and strength, reducing the body fat, and etc. Which means that if you are taking steroids when being in a calorie deficit, you won't be really affected by the calorie deficit, and it doesn't really matter what you will do because you can even increase your strength and muscle size to a high degree while at the same time losing body fat. There is a study that proves that people who use testosterone while not even training or eating properly can build more muscle size and strength than people who are training naturally and eating properly. What are we even talking about? However, I don't advise you to take steroids, this is not the purpose of this video. I am going to assume that everyone who is listening now wants to maintain their strength and muscle size while cutting or even increase that. In case you do the stupid mistake to decrease the weights and increase the reps and you are natural, you will not only lose a lot of strength but a lot of muscle size as well, because hypertrophy built through strength gains is highly connected to hypertrophy in general. If you lost a lot of strength during your cutting, then I can guarantee you that you lost a lot of muscle size also. The way to avoid this is basically to continue doing what you are doing during your bulking phase. Your body needs the same stimulus in order to maintain what you have built till now or even continue building more, which means that you still have to continue lifting those heavy weights, that you still have to train in the same rep ranges and etc. Going from 6 to 12 reps to 15 to 20 plus reps will not help you at all, but you will actually set a trap for yourself this way. In order to bust this myth with few sentences, I will say that there are not any kind of workouts that can burn fat from your body, nor losing fat from a specific muscle group through exercising this muscle group is possible. In order to lose fat and get shredded, you just have to be in a calorie deficit, but what will make your process of losing fat more successful at the end is to continue doing with the same weights that you was doing during your bulking or even more than that, so that you can maintain or increase your muscle mass. Second myth is change the exercises often in order to show the muscles and get better gains. This one is from the most stupid myth so far. Our bodies do not have eyes in order to see which exercises we are doing and whether we are using bar, dumbbell machine or a branch that we just found in the forest. All that our bodies can do is to analyze the path of the movements that we are doing, respond to that, and then eventually adapt to that movement and get better and stronger at it, because as we know, the more often you do something, the better you get at it. Basically, if you always change the exercises you are doing, and more specifically the compound ones, then you just don't give a chance to your body to adapt to these movements and get better at them, because every time you change them, your body has to analyze them again and again, and it will be difficult for you to progress on these exercises. For example, if one week you are doing barbell bench press, then next week you do dumbbell bench press, then split machine chest press, then something else, and so so on and so on, you won't be able to progress on these exercises, which simply means that you will not have results from them. You will just find yourself in a vicious circle. There are many studies that show that the more adapted our body is to a certain movement, the better results we can get out from this movement. So in simple words, if you do barbell bench press every single week, then it's very likely for you to get better and stronger on this exercise faster, which means more muscle mass gains from it also. But if you replace barbell bench press with something else, then it will be much harder for you to sustain the previous training volume because your body has to adapt to the new exercises, and this will take time. As I said, our bodies analyze the path of the movements, which means that the more compound an exercise is, the less you should change it, because it takes much more time to our bodies to adapt to the compound movements than to the isolation ones, which means that isolation exercises can be switched more often during a period of time. However, I would not recommend you to switch them every week. What I do is to stick to a certain exercises for as long as I can, and in case I don't enjoy one of the isolation ones anymore, I would switch it with something very similar, but I would never switch a compound movement just for fun, except I have a serious reason such as injury. I believe that one of the reasons people think that they should switch exercises often is that they feel soreness on the day after the workout, and often soreness is said to be a factor for muscle growth. However, that is not true, and here we go with the third biggest training myth. I'm sure that you've heard at least one person to say, "Yo dude, I'm super sore today from yesterday's workout, this was pretty good workout then," and another time the same person will say, "Oh man, I don't really feel sore from yesterday's workout, I probably didn't train hard enough or I did something wrong." I can clearly remember how me and my first training partner were saying the exact same things to each other on the day after the workout. If our chest was not sore after chest day, then we would assume that we didn't train hard enough. If it was sore, then we were happy because we thought that we made some nice gains, but in the reality this is just a bullshit. There are still not any studies that show what exactly muscle soreness is, but let me tell you what the cause of muscle soreness is, because at least we can be sure about that. Muscle soreness is an indication of the fact that you did something that your body was not familiar with or adapted to. That's it. In order to give you a better example for this, I want you to imagine that you had to catch the bus and the bus was already on the station, so you decided to do a sprint in order to catch it. You hadn't done any sprints in the last few months, but you gave everything you had for this one so that you would not miss the bus. On the next day you woke up and you could barely walk because your quads were all sore and stiffed. Does this mean that you made nice gains from the sprint you did the day before? Of course not. If that was true, some people would have big quads only from chasing buses. What I'm trying to tell you is that you should not really care about whether the muscle parts that you trained yesterday are sore or not. It doesn't really matter, and actually I can assure you that the more experienced lifter you get, the less muscle soreness you will feel, especially if you train the muscle parts more often through the week. For example, I haven't felt any noticeable soreness for so long already, but I keep progressing and building muscle because progressive overload is the key driver for building muscle, not muscle soreness. As I mentioned, if you train the muscle parts more often through the week, then you will not feel soreness that often, which leads me to the last myth that I'll talk about in this video. Training muscle group more than once a week is too much because you can't recover well from that. Usually this is being said by people who had never tried to train muscle group more than once a week, because if they had done that, they would already know that this is the much better option for training. Of course, you have to keep in mind that if you want to train muscle group more often through the week, you have to separate the training volume through the training days properly. For example, if you train chest once per week with 20 sets, then you can separate that into 2 days and do 10 sets for chest on each of the days. Studies show that the most optimal way of training for a natural lifter is to train every muscle group at least twice per week, and the more advanced you get, the more often you should train each muscle group. Right now I'm training my upper body 3 times a week and the lower body 2 times a week, but after I am done with my cutting, I will start training at least 4 times a week every muscle group because I am already an advanced lifter. The reason why this is the more optimal way of training for naturals is that you can keep the levels of protein synthesis in its high levels more often through the week, and as you may know, protein synthesis is a key point when it comes to building muscle. Not only this will help you to build muscle size faster, but it will also help you to recover faster, because you will cause blood circulation in those muscle groups more often, and blood itself brings a lot of important nutrients with it, which is one of the reasons why you will recover faster. Another benefit of training muscle groups more than once a week is that you will perform the exercises more often through the week, which means that you will get better at them faster, which also leads to better results. Since I started training muscle groups at least twice a week, I am getting crazy results, so I can assure you that it's worth doing, and also science proves it. That's it for this video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to like and share the video. Sharing my video will help me a lot, so I will really appreciate if you do that. I am going to do the 10k challenge if we hit 10k subs until the end of July, so make sure to subscribe if you still haven't. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.